we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal podcast. On we go with Emile Rowe is the name of it. Into the fourth round, Southampton away, I believe we've got. And unless it's Shrewsbury, I've got James Johnstone here to discuss the round against Newcastle, winning 2-0, and also who we've got in the next round. Welcome, James.
Morning. You all right? Well, afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
Yeah, evening for me, morning for you. Everyone's asleep here. Everyone's waking up where you are. Wonderful technology we have. So, mate, third round, I think in the last podcast, we all expected, we had a little prediction on the lineup. We didn't get quite right, but I think we all expected kind of wholesale changes. Bit strange because, a lot of these players playing in this game were, 2-3 months back or even less, were really considered, the first choice of Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. So what we were looking for really was signs that are encouraging form over the last 3 or 4 games. Players may be able to put themselves back in Mikel Arteta's thoughts and plans if we needed to rotate when an injury cropped up. Of course, Martinelli happened in the warm-up, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. What were your thoughts, just overall, James, on what you saw from this group in the early portion of this game? Because we're going to divide the discussion into 2 sections: this and then the substitution part, which is obviously going to be a lot more positive. But what were your thoughts in terms of the lineup, how we set up, and did you learn anything new from maybe the players that you'd seen?
So the lineup, I expected changes. I think all of us did. Maybe some not as wholesale as it was, but no, I expected it to change. But for me, it was just a shame that every single person that came in failed to meet expectations for me. None of them stood out for me, and it was a real chance to show the manager, show us fans what we're missing, what the manager's missing, and give him more of a selection headache than what he already has, especially when it comes to his front four. And for me, Reiss Nelson, I don't want to single him out, which I mentioned on Twitter as well. He got the chance through an injury. When you watch it back, it looks more. I know you said you'll touch on it later on, so I won't go too deep into it. But it looks as though that could be a long-term injury. So you're thinking, right, you could have a chance here to be one of the wide players for Arsenal. You've got a big chance here, Reiss Nelson. And other than that chance that he had about 2 minutes in, he did absolutely nothing for me. Absolutely. I thought, do you know what? I've watched you time and time again. He's had more minutes than the likes of Nketiah, and he gets pelters for just existing at the club because apparently it's his fault that Balogun's
mainly from me
not playing. Yeah. Well, I'm not singling you out, but people blame him for Balogun not playing, and I think you summed it up when Arteta got in the job. He was 13 goals in 15 games or something. And it was just like, hang on a sec, what you didn't know about him before you got here. Like, come on. Pepe worked hard, created what I'd class as one good chance, which was the one for Willock. Other than that, I thought his end product. Yeah, I thought his end product and everything else lacking. And I'm starting to look at him and think, did I get you wrong? I'm seriously questioning him as a player at the moment. Willock is Willock for me. Do you know what I mean? Like
the difficult thing, just to sort of come in and ask you a question on Willock, because I think as you've gone into the youngsters, I want to stick with those for a little bit, especially the ones that started. On Willock, do you just feel... I'm not really sure what his best position is, James. And the issue I've got is he played in a 2 for this one, like he did against the league in the League Cup against Leicester, where he was also a bit, I think, came off early in that one. I'm just wondering, basically what I'm saying is, of these youngsters that you just discussed, Nelson, Eddie, Willock, would you be against any of them at this point, going out on loan at the very least. You mentioned with Nelson, if we have, players to cover it. I thought it was quite significant that, I know he says Eddie's not going to be sold in this window, but did you think it was quite significant that when Martinelli was injured, he didn't bring even Eddie in there because he could have moved to Aubameyang left? Do you read anything into that as well, James? And then Willock's position as well?
I think that he just wanted to keep Aubameyang central to try and get him a goal, because he needs to get him to bounce back. So that's why I think that happened. But, now that there is concrete that Eddie won't be sold, as far as what these people, I don't know. I think if someone come in with what I class as what was rumoured of 20 to 25 million for him, especially now he's 18 months, isn't it? You'd be odd not to consider it, wouldn't you? In a January, that's pretty good money for a January window during a pandemic. That's pretty good money. But no, if you're talking mainly Willock and Nelson because they've concretely said, Eddie's not going to go, I wouldn't be adverse to either selling both or loaning both of them, or loaning one, selling the other. Either way around. I've seen enough of both of them now to decide that it's not working for me, regardless of where they. I mean, Willock is, I would say, more of a number 8, but we're looking at upgrading to a better number 8 than both of them. Well, Nelson's not a number 8 anyway, so sorry, it's harsh for me making that comparison. But yeah, Willock, isn't as good as the others that are there. And let's be fair, the other number 8s that we have aren't really pulling up trees anyway. I mean, Ceballos didn't even make the squad, did he? So,
and no one discussed that. I'm not sure. And Arteta wasn't asked about that. And obviously, he could have just been rested, but there's no real need to rest him. He hasn't played that many games.
He's barely played, has he? Yeah.
So that one, maybe, I don't think there's anything to read into it this window. There was a slight rumour about him sort of being recalled or something in January, or I said I don't see that happening personally. No. But I agree with you on
I don't know if it was the comments where he pretty much, again, like he did last year at the same sort of time as well, he come out earlier in the week and was just like, oh, no, I'm ready to be in the Real Madrid midfield and solidify my place at the greatest club. And that maybe pissed Arteta off, because he was like, well, hang on a sec. I brought you in. I told you, look, shape up or you're going to go. And then, arguably that turnaround after the break and everything, when it was the lockdown first time round, he was sensational.
Really good.
And then he brings him back because Real Madrid still don't want him. And he's like, I've given you 2 ins here to be, a solid player for Arsenal, and you don't want it. So maybe Arteta's like, if you're going to come out with comments like that and be like that, I'm not going to put you in. I don't know. Part of me was like, is that what it is? Is it, it's not really punishing, but do you know what I mean? It's sort of a naughty step.
Yeah. And I think it was different last season in a way, because there was always that possibility of loaning him again, but he's got 2 years left on his deal now, so there won't be that possibility of loaning him again. And
I can't see us.
No, not really. And just to go back to him, can come back to Ceballos a little bit later, but yeah, I think he'd have to do some really big stuff in the last 6 months. And I think what's really a big signal at the moment is in a back 4, you just can't play Xhaka and him together. It doesn't work. When Partey comes back in, one of them's not playing. And at the moment, we're going to get to Xhaka in a second, but I thought Xhaka was pretty good again in this game when he came on, and we'll get to the substitution component. But agree with you completely on, I know, Eddie, I just wonder from a managerial point of view, like you said, if a big comes in, I wonder if that's saying no. I mean, how many times did Arsene Wenger say no and then we sold someone 2 or 3 weeks later? Do you know what I mean? So I just wonder if saying no is more like, making sure we're not trying to put someone out into the shop window. Even
as probably his only fan.
And I think he does get a little bit.
When are you ever going to get 25 to possibly 30 million for him ever again?
No. And with Willock, I'd accept a lot less.
I always look at it and say about Mustafi, Gary Neville went, Arsenal were the only club stupid enough to offer 35 million for him. And I'm like, West Ham are a club that, I mean, look at what's happened with that Haller. They bought him for how much and sold him for less than half?
Yeah, within a year or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, they are idiots with money.
They're Arsenal all over, aren't they?
I'm like, if they're going to be stupid, exploit it, because you're never going to get 25 to 30 million for Nketiah again. And this is a guy who, for all I talk him up and everything else, what is it, 4 Premier League goals?
Yeah. And do you know what, James? The thing with it, maybe the Martinelli injury plays into Arteta's comments here a little bit, and we'll see. We're waiting for the scan results, and probably people listening to this will already know the results because it's supposed to come out on Tuesday. The hope, I think, the in my head, knowing the injury and the way it looks, I'm hoping for the 3-week grade 1 sprain, 3 to 4 week, maybe even a little bit longer, but that's a short time frame in terms of a lateral ankle sprain, but obviously not hoping for anything longer than that. So 3 to 4 weeks would be okay. But again, maybe he's keeping that in mind because if that's the case, maybe Eddie Nketiah. But if that's not the case and Martinelli is okay or just very short term, I really struggle to see where Eddie Nketiah's minutes. And if he's not getting into let's face it, a second string team in the third round of the Cup, if he's not even getting a minute in the second string, where I struggle to see where his minutes are coming from in the latter part, because the rounds are getting harder. The Europa League's now in the knockout stage, and we're seeing probably our best attacking player is a player in Lacazette who he was playing in front of towards the latter stage of the last season. So it's really hard to see it. Things change quickly in football, but I think it's really hard to see it. And in this game, Eddie obviously didn't play, but I agree with you. I thought Nelson was pretty poor. Lots of touches on the ball, but pretty poor. That chance that came across from Tierney, should have hit it first time, very clumsy in front of goal. Obviously didn't expect to start, but should be doing better. I think with him, again, I wouldn't not accept a sale, but I also think he's got very little football in his legs, full 90 minutes in his legs, so I wouldn't mind just seeing him at a lower level Premier League club, just playing 90 minutes each week. And I think sometimes we can benefit from loaning out a couple of these players to Premier League sides to strengthen them, but not strengthen them against us. I mean,
every time you say this, I just keep nodding.
Because Chelsea do it all the time. We never do it. And Willock and Nelson can play Premier League. Eddie Nketiah can play. If you're going to loan them, I don't think Eddie Nketiah is up for a loan because of his contract. But the other two, if you're going to loan them, And again, with Willock, I agree with you. He's an 8. He's better in a 3 than a 2. But we don't play a 3. Well, we do, but we're really playing a more advanced player in Smith Rowe who's trying to pick spaces in between the lines, and he's not really that late runner like Ramsey, but he doesn't have the technical assurance to play in a 2, so he kind of leaves El Neni to it. And I always feel sorry for a midfield partner. I felt a little bit like this in the early years of Ramsey, but Ramsey was always so good at getting into the box and making defining moments in big games. And I think you see it with Willock in the Europa League against lesser oppositions.
He hasn't got the technical efficiency, Jack.
No, I don't think he has. And in my heart, I don't think he'll ever make it at this level anyway.
How old is he now?
I don't know. He must be 20, 23. Maybe younger, maybe 21. I don't know. I haven't looked. I'll check it. But
if you haven't got it now.
60, 70 appearances for Arsenal.
Yeah, and I mean, just going off from the young guys, you're saying about the changes. Willian, I won't even give him the time of day, mate. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna speak anymore on him if I don't have to. Cedric and El Neni, likewise. Neither of them pulled up trees for me to make me go.
Did you find it a bit strange that Niles didn't start in one of the fullback positions? I know Kieran Tierney, which we'll get to, was fantastic. Was again. And I know Bernadette and a few other people that constantly comment on the podcast said, you can give Tierney a bit more. Right. I mean, I said I'm almost expectant of this. It's kind of like Saka. You're almost expecting these players to play well now because even amongst the absolute dross, they've been pretty consistent. Yeah. But just getting back to the fullback position, I thought it was a bit odd that Niles didn't start, and I wonder what that means for him come the summer. Maybe it's a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, it's one of those where I look at it and I think, where it is becoming a 4. I've always said he can't be in a back 4. But he might be now because with Kolasinac going, and what I will say, obviously it's a loan and his contract expires, but they went 30 games without a win, Schalke. He comes in the side and they won it. I'm like, buy him now. Give us some money. Not that he's a free agent.
What's he got left?
It's only 6 months.
Oh, he's done this.
So, but I'm like,
I thought he had longer.
Buy him now as a goodwill gesture, Schalke. Come on, 30 games without a win. Buy him now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us some pennies. And he a quid. Just give us some for him.
And just to Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the left back berth and back up, and not putting Kieran Tierney
if he goes down.
I agree. I mean, you got to remember that sides like, and I'm not comparing us to these sides, but sides like Man City won the league with Fabian Delph at left back.
Yeah.
We got to a Champions League final with Matthew Flamini at left back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
where I used to play on the left-hand side of.
We played Coquelin at right back for a while. I'm not saying it's ideal, but I'm saying in our current predicament, financially restricted, we do have options there. Not perfect options, but we do have possible backup options. And there's not a lot of clubs, even top clubs like Liverpool won the league last season, really, with James Milner as their fullback coverage in both positions. Do you know what I mean? They only just bought a left back up this season. So I think we it's not a position I'd be looking to get, and there's a chance, touch wood, it doesn't happen, that Kieran Tierney gets burnt out or picks up an injury or something. But I would be willing to take that risk, unlike the goalkeeper position, which we'll get to, which I wouldn't.
100% agree with you. And then David Luiz, for me, he was the best out of all of them. But then
I thought he did all right.
He was hardly sensational. He put a few Hollywood passes in, especially the one that Aubameyang ran onto and smashed, and it was a good save from that Dubravka, who I thought had a brilliant game. He's Newcastle's second choice keeper. I'm like, is he one that we should be looking at?
Grab him.
Yeah. And then Willian, like I said, I don't want to touch on him as much, but I'm like, he had 2-3 touches to set that shot, and he still skied it.
Yeah, I know you don't want to, but just to mention from my point, obviously gets a lot of pelters, Willian, and the reason I agree with you, and we've touched on Willian so much in this podcast since he's come in, and we know he's been pretty poor. I think there is a lot of excuses from some aspects, because people know that it has to work in some way, or we're stuck with him at least for the time being. So
we picked him up when he come in. All the numbers and everything was there.
Yeah, and I did as well. But in fairness, my theory on Willian was we were going to use him in the position that he started in this game, and that's why I'm so frustrated with the way he played, because I felt right side, but we got to remember how good Pepe was looking towards the end of last season, and I also thought Nelson would probably be okay for a backup, and then obviously we're seeing Saka come out on the right side, so I felt a right side coverage was okay, so I couldn't really see Willian taking that berth. Obviously we know how impacted we are on the left side. I thought it was going to be a temporary solution at the number 10 role, cheap, because we couldn't afford to replace, because we still had Ozil effectively on the books. And I thought, and we said in fairness in pre-season about Smith Rowe being that other alternative even before he had this breakout. So we did say that, but I just felt with Willian, obviously that chance kind of summed him up really. But what you expect from your experienced players that have achieved so much elsewhere, especially when they're not doing it, is just this pure sort of desire and intent to give everything, and I'm not getting that vibe at all from Willian. Right, I'm getting this very kind of nonchalant, kind of sort of fatigued, lazy vibe. When I'm looking at it, going, you've got a point to prove here. Do you care enough, or are you here for a payday? And I worry about the latter, obviously, because if it is the latter, we've got another Ozil Mkhitaryan on our hands, and we've got another. And I think that's what people are really worried about at this point. I want it to work. I really do, but there was no sign in this game of him getting anywhere closer to the first team, and Mikel Arteta is hopefully clearly seeing that right now. But I think he was one of the substitutes, wasn't he, Willie? And he came off, didn't he? Yeah. And I just think in that number 10 role, we need to we're looking for someone that can rotate with someone like Smith Rowe if we're not going to go into the market this window, because it's gone a bit quiet on the Buendia and the Brandt front, and the cost of them sounds kind of crazy for us. And but there was no sign that he could be an option there, wasn't there? And I think that's the biggest frustration, James.
You summed it up, mate, is that when you're playing in that 10, there are times where you have to go further than the striker. And I can't, maybe someone can, maybe you can clear it up for me. I can't remember a time where he was more further advanced than the players that were already. I mean, there was one where I think Pepe put a cross in and Nelson's sprinting it, and you look at Willian and he's like, it's like Moses and the Red Sea. He's ages and ages away from, and I'm like, you've got to be bursting to get that. And I know you're 32 years old and everything, but I'm like, you can't convince me you're slow. I mean, arguably one of his best games of last season was the home game against us. And look at the Tammy Abraham goal. He's on it. As soon as that ball comes, he's sprinting past us. Sprinting. And I'm like, it's like you said, I think he probably, he didn't get the money that he wanted from Chelsea. Plus, they weren't offering him the years that he wanted. And we've been foolish enough to sort of pay it. And we've been done again.
This is where the contradiction of the philosophy of the club comes in, right? Arteta and Edu talk about a process, long-term process, but when you're making short-term deals like Cedric and Willian, you start to question that. And then when you're obviously trying to put them in the team quite often, because Willian really was not dropped, he was kind of forced out of the team because Smith Rowe played so well and Saka played so well against Chelsea. But I think if we're hand on heart, we probably all think he would have started if he wasn't sick in that game. So it was kind of the lights turned on for Mikel Arteta, and it shouldn't have had to get to that moment. But ultimately, I didn't see a lot from him. I saw more, in fairness. I know you said Pepe, more of the same. I was a bit more encouraged by Pepe. I didn't think he was fantastic by any means. I still felt he was wasteful. But in terms of the amount he was on the ball, I felt was quite encouraging. His creation was a bit better, right? You talk about the chance for Willock. Remember a lovely little interchange between him and Smith Rowe down the right hand side. I must have done about 3-1-2s to each other running down a pitch. But again, like you said, he needs more end product, more from him. I don't think Cedric does him any favours being behind him at times, because Cedric again is another one that doesn't really fit the profile of the type of fullback that Arteta wants. So I find it odd when he's playing, because he's not really an up and back guy. He sits a lot more. He likes to distribute the ball a lot earlier. There's not a huge amount of energy in him.
You say that about a sick back guy. I don't know, when I watch him and David Luiz together, I sometimes think you two are well too hot, like you're too far up.
I think it's just his legs. I don't think he's got the legs that an Niles has or even a Bellerin has.
No, of course he hasn't. But I watch him and Luiz sometimes, and I'm like, you are both way too high up. And it goes back to, I think it was Conte at Chelsea, when he said that, David Luiz is a defender that would rather have a goal and an assist than a clean sheet. And that summed him up for his career.
Brazilian for you, isn't it?
Yeah. But watching him and Cedric, I was just like, lads, just maybe not that Newcastle. I mean, no wonder they want him sacked. I'm like, they are so boring.
Yeah, well, it's odd, isn't it? They played Joelinton and Andy Carroll.
We made it boring, trying to break them down, but. My God, I'm like, Bruce.
Oh, they're extremely negative. I mean, Andy Carroll was their best centre-back, wasn't he, really? Yeah, but at the same time, he had, we'll get to it, unbelievable chances in the second half. In the first half, I felt it was a very boring game, cagey. We had obviously a lot of the ball, but didn't create much other than that Aubameyang chance and the Willian one soon after it that he ballooned over, and then the Nelson chance. In the second half, before we made the change, I felt first change was on about the 55th minute-ish. I can't remember who the first change was now. I think it was Willock off. Was it Willock for Smith Rowe, or was it someone else? Smith Rowe was definitely the first change coming on. I don't remember who it was for. I presume it was for Willock, but maybe it wouldn't be for Willock.
It was Xhaka and Saka for Willock and Willian on 60. Oh no, it was Nelson. Sorry, for Smith Rowe.
Oh, Nelson for Smith Rowe. Yeah, there you go. And he moved. That was when he moved Willian wide and put Smith Rowe centrally, and that kind of changed us. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean. Let's talk about some of the key moments of the game. Andy Carroll missed a huge chance, and how he put it wide I think it was from a deflection, but it was poor defending. And then
that was the only bad thing Tierney did all game. Mm-hmm. Tried to dribble it out from.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That Hendrick caught it and crossed it, and he should have scored. He should have scored that. Scored it.
Yeah, and and then. obviously the key 60 seconds of the game, really, which was the Andy Carroll miss, which I think Leno, is one of those senior players that has really been fantastic in the last 4 or 5 games, and maybe even before that. I was quite harsh on Leno at the start of the season. I'm not going to act like I forget what I've said. But obviously, I was a big fan. I was frustrated.
You're looking at number one, aren't you?
Yeah.
Close to Leno. So,
but I was very frustrated that Martinez left, and I think the bigger frustration now is really who we replace Martinez with, rather than the frustration should be with Leno, because he really has been fantastic, and that was a brilliant save. But even the second save after it, James, is absolutely fantastic when Andy Carroll was just ready to smash it, and he's really won the tie for us there in a way, hasn't he?
Yeah. Anthony, when he edits it through, he'll probably have a smile on his face. Yeah, he's been brilliant. He has been brilliant. So he's turned a corner, and I, for one, couldn't be happier, because we need a good goalkeeper, regardless of where we are in the league, what we're doing in the cups and everything. We need a good goalkeeper, because we're always going to be susceptible to counter-attacks and everything. That's just the Arsenal way. So you need someone good in the sticks, otherwise you're buggered, really. So
and in fairness to him, he's always been a good shot stopper. Yes. But this one was that he stand really big. He didn't drop to the floor. Great little strong left hand. Gets down really quickly.
I think Neil alluded to it. Oh, sorry, I think I've got the garbage disposal coming, so you're going to hear
it's all good.
You're going to hear that bleep go on for ages. So Leno, it's confidence. It's confidence. Sorry, they've thrown me right off with this.
That's all good.
No, it's the confidence thing. We always said that I've not seen a German goalkeeper be as shy and as unconfident. But now I think he's coming back to the Leno that was last season before he got taken out, and we were all going, "Oh, now the season's ruined. Leno's been injured. What are we going to do?" And then a Martinez emerged. Yeah, he's going back to that Leno that it's like, bloody hell, thank God we got him, because he's saving us every single. Do you know what I mean? He become like an unsung hero last. He was on course to being Player of the Year.
Yeah,
at one stage.
I don't want that really, but yeah, I know what you mean.
No, and I think it's more clean sheets for him, isn't it? I think Brighton, West Brom, and this one. I think that's three consecutive for him, isn't it? So,
and you know what I thought about Leno is I always think about motivational tactics for players and where they are in their contract. And we just discussed Willian, final contract, first year of it, and looking like he's already got his feet up in Dubai kind of thing. But Leno is, what is he, 26, 27, 28 maybe. Good age, but also feel kind of sorry for him. Didn't play the Europa League final when he probably deserved to. We definitely deserved to. Didn't play the FA Cup final because of injury and just coming back from it. And Martinez was playing out of the games of his life. So I think there's a huge. He's not won. I don't think he's won anything in his career, Leno. Maybe he has. I haven't looked, but
no.
Huge motivational tool there for him, because he's obviously a very talented goalkeeper. He's playing. He's with the Germany squad, and I think that's really key, especially with some of these senior players that we're seeing with big drop-offs and things like that, and on big contracts. I think his motivation is super high, and especially in the cup as well.
A piece of it because he missed it.
Yeah. I mean, he must do. He must sit there thinking, well, I've won two. I've won a couple of trophies at Arsenal, even the Community Shield, but I've not been part of those. And it's not the same when you're not part of them. Right, I was listening to Handbrake Off podcast, I think it was, talking about Bergkamp in the 98 celebration after the FA Cup final, because he didn't play in it. He was sat over in a corner. And I could see Leno being like that, right, because he wasn't involved in the FA Cup run as such. Yeah. And that, so I think his motivation is so high. But again, fantastic. And then literally as that happens and he saves us, and I remember literally live watching that. I think it was the 89th minute. It was still in normal time, wasn't it? And I remember was it in extra time? Yeah,
it was like 94 minutes of the first.
Was it?
It was really late on. It was just before the end of it.
Yeah, so I remember going, we're out. I remember as Carroll hits it, I'm going, we're out. we're out here.
Yeah.
And then he throws it to Smith Rowe, and immediate red card. But this is where VAR is good, right? I mean, we talk about VAR being terrible and slowing the game down and sometimes not getting the right decisions. But the fair play to the ref, although I don't think it should have been even a booking. I think Longstaff has something to really answer to here, because a guy that's not so nice as Smith Rowe would have been giving him what for after that, because I don't really think Smith Rowe makes any kind of contact. It's definitely not malicious or any intent in it. I see very minimal contact from Smith Rowe, where he's just basically falling backwards. So I think Longstaff has a lot to answer for, but ultimately, right call. I mean, booking aside, but right call from the referee. And this is where, I mean, we moan about VAR non-stop, but this is where VAR is needed, James.
Yeah, I mean, I don't rate that Chris Kavanagh anyway. I think I can't remember who it was. He sent a few Arsenal players off before, hasn't he?
Yeah, can't forget the Lascelles one on Nelson, which was a terrible tackle in the first half.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's a very good. There's not many that I rate anyway. But no, I'm not
in this league.
Not a fan of his at all. And for me, it's the same as what we were talking about earlier. I'm like, how many times do you need to watch it? I'm like, and he had all these different angles and everything else as well. I mean, we only need to see one, and we're fans. We're not got what they class as the trained eye, you know. And he's watching it again and again. And it's like what you said to me earlier on. I don't know if you want to go. I don't want to steal your thunder from the point you made earlier about where it was. You know, he's like, well, I'm going to have to book him, otherwise I look a complete idiot, aren't I? So,
that's what I think he was waiting.
Yeah,
what he was looking for so long.
Yeah,
I think he knew he'd
been told. He's like, just book him so you don't look stupid.
Yeah,
like, yeah, all right. Yeah.
I mean, I was watching. I don't want to go into it, but I was watching the end of our unbeaten run, and I thought, well, when I was watching it the other day, because people post it all the time, don't they, on Twitter, and you can't help but watch it sometimes. And obviously,
there is an account called Man United's Best Tackles. And it's literally just an account of Arsenal getting hacked. That's literally what the account is.
But if you're watching that, in fairness to VAR, if there's no corruption surrounding VAR and you take Mike Riley out of the equation, which of course was the referee on the day, man, you end that game with 8 players. Do you know what I mean? Van Nistelrooy sent off. With VAR, Van Nistelrooy sent off because he hits down the shin of Ashley Cole. Rio Ferdinand sent off because he's the last man against Nuremberg. One of the Neville brothers is off because they've made 12 tackles through the legs of Reyes. Surprised Reyes survived that, right?
That was the tweet that I saw. It was the game, was it FA Cup semi-final at Villa Park where they beat us, I think.
Ryan Giggs one, is that?
No. This was it the year they played Millwall?
Was this the 1-0 Skulls?
Yeah. Because I was there. I remember going to that game and I hated it. I remember being there with my dad and was just like, I don't like being here. I don't feel safe. I remember some Man United fan threatening to stab us. I just remember having a really bad day.
Yeah, one of those. And, had a few of them. Yeah.
There's a clip on that where Reyes he's not even creating anything really. And I can't remember which one. I think it is Phil Neville just goes straight through it, play on. And I mean, it doesn't feel like long ago. But when you watch Reyes and everything that's happened since, you know, God rest his soul and everything, you're just like, you bastards. You really...
And you can't forget, going back to the Man U one. They knew they were doing it every game to Reyes. They kicked him out of English football, basically. And then obviously the penalty wouldn't have existed either because there was no contact whatsoever, despite Andy Gray trying his hardest to say there was. But yeah, so I mean, I don't like VAR for a lot of reasons, but I think it's more the interpretation from the people that are putting it in place. But in this instance, right decision, definitely that he wasn't sent off, and how huge the decision was, because that decision could easily have gone against us because referees make stupid mistakes like that. Yeah. Especially against us. Smith Rowe, I actually thought technically on the ball, I really like him, but I thought he was a little bit less secure before the goal, but he's still, James, finding himself in fantastic pockets of spaces, always with the intent of seeing the game before him. He's so good at knowing what space is around him and who's around him. And that goal, mate, again, it's the combination of players that we saw against West Brom. I thought Lacazette's header was key, but composure from Smith Rowe in front of goal. What a fantastic month it's been for him, right? And you just want him to, feet on the ground. He seems like a player that will do that. And now we're asking, how much consistency can we get out of a player like this, aren't we?
Yeah, like you said, was when he come on. I don't think he was the best sub that was made. I actually think Granit Xhaka was the one who changed the game, in my opinion. But
he was fantastic. Yeah, I thought he was really good
on Smith Rowe. Like you said, just demanding the ball. There was a lot of times where he was in, like you said, pockets and pockets of space, and he sort of dragged two players with him, but the ball weren't going to him. So he probably thought to himself, I might have to make something out of nothing here because I ain't getting the delivery to me. And he did really. We talked about it before we started recording. He picks up on that interception right away, plays a nice into Saka, his mate. And Saka, fair play, the way to pass to Lacazette is absolutely sensational. But you talk about Willian and the others that are playing this number 10 role for Arsenal at the moment. Who else is making that for? It is literally the second that he gives Saka the ball, he's on his bike. He's like, he's gone. He is gone. And you don't get that from any of the others. You do not get that from any of the others. Lacazette, brilliant little header in. And Smith Rowe still has a lot to do. Like, to be fair, from that angle and everything else, still has a lot to do. Does it with ease. And his first game was Mulder away in the Europa League, and he's had 2 goals and 4 assists. So he's had 6 goal involvements, and Lacazette's the only one with higher since, who's had 7. He's had 6 goals and 1 assist, which was the assist to Smith Rowe for this. So, numbers-wise, performance-wise, everything else, guys pulling up trees, isn't he? He's doing the business. And it's funny, isn't it? You think about all the previous games where, we're looking for a solution. We're looking at it. He had it there all along, and you just think, Burnley at home, the Aston Villa debacle, everything. You think to yourself.
And it's just really about, because he's had such.
If we trusted him then, what could have happened?
Well, I think he's also had some proper fitness issues, hasn't he, with injuries and stuff like that. And that's the key here. And that's why in the last podcast we talked about, do we need an addition in there? And I think we all agreed that we do. And that was one to not have to put the onus so much on him to have to deliver every game. And I did feel, not other than the goal, because he did do so much more in this game, Smith Rowe, but you're going to get games where it doesn't quite come off for him. He's not quite on it, right? He gives the ball away cheaply, but when he's still providing moments like that, I did think he was good overall in the game. That's huge, right? That's huge. That's a sign of a really mature player. And we used to. I remember countless games where you'd say Özil hasn't done anything, but he's created 2 or he's created a goal, so that's good enough. And I think Smith Rowe can offer so much more in terms of his age, his profile, the amount of energy that he provides. I think
that's the key word, mate. The energy.
Yeah, huge energy. And we've not had energy from that position for a long time, because even the latter years of Özil, we didn't have that energy. Right, we had the obviously creation, the quality. I've never denied the quality from Mesut Özil, to be honest. But in terms of that work rate, it's huge for us from that position, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's the style that we're currently going and playing. He suits that, because obviously Özil technically is far superior to probably what Smith Rowe will ever be. But in terms of sheer tenacity and the pace and everything, and just, like I said, none of the others will go further forward than the centre forward. But he banks on himself that, no, do you know what? I'm going to have a go. And when I'm in the box, I'll show you what I can do when I'm in the box. And, he done it again. Like I said, that's not an easy goal. People go, luck and coming off the post and everything else. I'm like, you knew as soon as he hit it, the way the ball was spinning. I'm like, it's good. Even if the keeper got a glove on it, it's going in. Just from the way he's cushioned it, it's, like snooker.
It's a fantastic finish,
yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It's that key word you said, the energy. And in that position at the moment, we need it, because we haven't really got people that advance like that. Aubameyang, we know that he can and everything. You saw it with that chance that he had earlier on. But he's not converting. Okay, he did in the end, and we'll touch on that in a minute, I guess. But you need that person that's going to go, no, I will take a game by the scruff of my neck. I will run forward. I will. Do you know what I mean? We've had so many that will pass sideways or just be wasteful.
Yeah, or just pass the responsibility off. And it's nice to see, that fearlessness and
exactly
from him. And the question is now, how consistent can he be, and how do we manage his workload, because he provides so much from that position.
With all of them youngsters, mate, is managing their minutes.
And I don't know if it's a good thing. I mean, maybe in a sense, if it's a good thing, that there was no viable solution from this game for anything near what Smith Rowe offers. And maybe that pushes us into the transfer market, though I still think in my head it's quite a long shot, us getting an attacking midfielder in this window. I think it's possible, but I feel like we would be hearing a bit more conclusive evidence of that.
Your man Fab said, if not already, it's imminent that the bid's going in for Buendia.
Yeah, it's interesting he said that, because you talk to a lot of people and they're not really of the belief. I think they're of the belief that Norwich just are going to up the price and won't sell because they're so, they're at the top of the Championship, and why would they sell in this position? But I think we probably need the player to push it a little bit, and I don't know what kind of fee is truly on the table. If it's anywhere near that fee that they were talking about, the 35-40 million, I just don't see us doing it. But I think in terms of the type of player he is, what is he? He's 25, sort of something like that, 26. I think he's exactly the type of player that we need. Player that hasn't really done it in the Premier League yet, but looks like he's got all the qualities, can play in multiple positions, right, left and central. Yeah. And I don't think he'd be a player, James, in Buendia, because we're already going into the transfer window, but I don't think he'd be a player that, like let's say a Julian Brand, who's played in the Champions League and played for titles and things like that would come in demanding a starting spot over Smith Rowe. I think under Buendia you create a really good competitive environment against Smith Rowe, where both of them are looking, going, well, I think this is mine. Well, actually, I've been doing it in the Championship, but I think it's mine. And it's I think it creates a better type of environment. I just
I don't know how Norwich did in the FA Cup. I don't know if they're still in it or whatever, and I don't know if he played, so I don't know if he's cup tied for that. Which, if that's the case, then, if Smith Rowe plays the Southampton or the Shrewsbury game, and then we have Southampton again in the league, if he's in by that time, you could probably go, right, well, Smith Rowe, you've got the cup game, but Buendia, you've got the one in the league, because obviously you might be. I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did or not. So
the question there is this the ultimate player that we want for that position, or is it not? And if it's not, will we just wait until the summer? The problem with that is, and we'll get to that, I think we've got a hell of a lot of work to do in the summer in other positions, and that makes me think that this still might be. And obviously the pushing out or the encouragement that we're hearing about maybe Ozil moving on, maybe the reason we're really trying to encourage that and make an agreement there is to get someone in.
It doesn't seem like a false one either, because normally, you get a name and everyone's looking that way, and then all of a sudden Arsenal veer that way, and you're like, oh, right, oh, okay. But I'm like, this is being spoken about too much for me to not be either in the pipeline or it's been. I don't know. I personally think that we've probably gone to them with something already, and they've just gone, nah, come on.
Yeah, I presume we're trying to do a make weight of a player or two, right? A Nelson or Willock. You could easily see us pushing that way, but
I can't see him demanding 35 to 40 million for him.
It depends how long his contract is left. I'm not sure what it is. I presume it's a couple of years at least, but if it is, I mean,
find out.
But again, getting back into the Premier League is huge money for them as well. So, but brilliant goal from Smith Rowe. Then obviously, you had your Xhaka's come on. I thought Xhaka was really, really good, but he just showed what we were lacking in terms of not having a partnership in the midfield for a large part of the game. And then in terms of the last goal, which was the last few minutes of extra time, frustrated a little bit, James, that we went into extra time. Obviously, meaning, we know we've had a lot of these teams that have had games postponed because of COVID-related issues, not necessarily always their fault. Sometimes it was their team's fault and they got rest. We really have been non-stop in terms of our games throughout the Christmas period. So there's not a lot of respite for us. So seeing us having to go into extra time isn't the greatest thing. And then also seeing us having to bring on all the players that we know are going to start against Palace on Thursday isn't ideal again. Ultimately, winning the tie is what you want to do. Tierney obviously provides the assist, but it actually starts from Lacazette winning the ball back over on the right side, this goal. Obviously, I'm going to mention that because I'm a big fan of Lacazette. But then Xhaka creation, Tierney getting forward. I think he had the most key passes in the game again. I think he's 6 created chances in this game or something. Yeah. Great, unbelievable energy from Tierney again. And Aubameyang, James, just touched on Aubameyang. I mean, we've said it a couple of times this season, but could this goal... Could this goal be the one to sort of trigger something in him? Did you see more from him in this game? Because we really need to get him firing, especially if Martinelli is not fit, don't we? Yeah.
For me, the goal's all Granit Xhaka. I'm like, he was superb when he come on. And again, the bloke's a cat. The guy, he's got 9 lives, hasn't he?
More than Ozil, yeah.
I mean, again, all of us the other week, I don't want to ever see him play again. What an idiot. Had enough. And it's just rinse and repeat from last season. And then it comes to the January. Oh, God, he's turned a corner. He's playing well again. He's done, he's done it again. Granit Xhaka has done it again. And it's a beautiful pass into Tierney. Tierney makes that cross in his sleep. You know what I mean? Like you said, he had 6 throughout the game. And, for me, Aubameyang, the main thing, and to quote, sadly he's not here to talk about it himself, but to quote Neil, smiling. And he's smiling because he's done it. Not that he's happy that the others are all involved. He's smiling because he's like, yeah, I've got the goal. I've done something. And for weeks I've been saying he just needs a tap in and everything. Because after Southampton, you thought, okay, maybe this is going to be it. And he's been quiet again. But no, I think now this is it now. I think he's going to come back. And he was on the left. He was on the left when he scored it. So...
and that's where he's going to be.
Arteta always said he's not central, he's left. He's not central, and all of us.
But you really see it in terms of the way Arteta wants to play, right? I mean, under a different style manager, maybe, because Aubameyang's obviously been successful centrally. But I mean, we said this a few weeks back. I don't really see profile-wise anyone but Lacazette being able to play in the way we're playing at the moment. And
he's doing too many things, mate. Like I said earlier. The numbers are too high to drop him again. And for me as well, maybe it's a strength because it shows he's not arrogant. But at the same time, for me, Lacazette, I'm like, why are you not more angry you're dropped? Because he don't get the French team and he's cool with it. You've never really heard him kick up a fuss that you don't get involved for France. And when he scores goals for us and gets dropped for us, you don't really hear him complaining and everything. And maybe that is good because you don't want bad. But I'm like, part of me's like, get a bit more angry.
Want it a bit more,
Hey, come on, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
But I do like the fact, and you alluded to it as well, I do like the fact that the club have gone not till the summer contract with it.
Yeah. No. Push it away.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about that motivating moment for players in their last year of their contract or last year before something happens. You get huge amounts out of them. Think about what we got out of Theo Walcott before he signed the big deal. We're getting everything out of him. So wait on it. And then you make a decision. I don't even mind I'd love Lacazette to be our player of the season and then to sell him. I would be no problem with that because... Yeah. I mean, although, at that point, I wouldn't be against a 1-year extension either. But that's what you want. Like, we've had so many players where we've rewarded players for what they've done, like we said, not what they're going to do, and we've got to stop doing that. And we've also got to keep motivating them.
They might keep him.
Well, if he continues in this form, it's going to be hard not to, isn't it, really? Yeah. And on his wage that he's on, I don't see a ton of takers on that wage. He's on about $185 a week, I think. So, that's a big old wage to take away. But again, it all comes down to the player. But he's always seemed like a pretty happy player at the club anyway, even despite being in and out of the team, and he's been pretty happy. So it'll be interesting. But I do think he only played 15 minutes in this game, James. Had a huge effect on the game.
Yeah.
Only played 15 minutes in this game. So again, I think like you, Granit Xhaka was probably the most important sub. We haven't even talked about Saka too much because again, he's like Tierney. We're just like, well, Saka's coming on. He's going to do everything again, and which he does, of course. Just an elite young talent. Right? I think I read somewhere he's in the top 10 in terms of value youngsters in the world, and I'm like, who are the other 9?
Should be.
Yeah, I'm like, who are the other 9? Because I put him right there with him. Do you know what I mean? I really do. I mean, I think I argue with this with my brother as well, who's moaned at Saka's average for a while, and I said, I don't think you're watching it.
Is he still on it?
No, he's come away from it a little bit. Now he's on Smith Rowe being average, and I said, well. Smith Rowe's only played 7 or 8 games, John. So let's give him a bit of time. And in those 7 or 8 games, he's been pretty flipping good. Do you know what I mean?
He's brilliant on the old Twitter, mate. I've got to give it.
John, he has his moments, doesn't he? Yeah, he loves them all. He used to come on here every now and then. There's 2.
I know. Yeah,
saving the world.
You need to get him back, mate.
Get him on. He loves an argument. He's a funny boy. But I don't think. I mean, generally, he's not a big proponent of the youngsters and things like that. And again, like going back to that though, if you end up selling your Eddies, your Nelsons, your Willocks for 15 million a piece, that is still successful for this group of coming through. It doesn't always have to be a Saka, an elite talent coming into the side, because that's rare anyway. But giving them 40 or 50 games in the first team and then selling them onto a club, for 15, 18, 20 million, that's a huge success. And I don't think we should be reluctant to do it in the phase that we're in.
You alluded to it. I think it was last season. It might have been even before I was on it. I think it was one that I was on, and you were talking about the class of '92 and how Nicky Butt was the one they were all wax lyrical about.
Of course,
in the end, it was Giggs.
Yeah,
and it looks as though from what I was told and from what I saw and everything else, it was always Nelson. And it's Saka and Smith Rowe are the 2 that are like,
and that was a sign of that was Arteta and how he felt about Nelson when he first came in. He started him for the first 3 or 4 games, and he said, there was huge comments about how much he adored Nelson when he was playing. And Nelson was a kid coming through, and Nelson was the kid that everyone
was comparing him to Sterling,
talked about. Yeah, and even in the French group, do you remember the French lads coming through? Anelka, Trezeguet, Henry. It was always Trezeguet.
Yeah,
it was and then it was never Henry. Might have been Anelka. It was never Henry, never Thierry Henry. Yeah. And sometimes you don't know what you've got until you throw them into the real big time, and you say sink or swim kind of thing, and suddenly you see huge characters come through.
Look at the England under-21s when they got bashed by Germany. It was Noble, weren't it? Noble was the one that they would go, Mark Noble, look at Mark Noble, look at Mark Noble. He never even got a full England. He's never been capped by England, by the full team. He's never played a game.
Yeah. You just don't know, do you? When they come through, it's all about getting that chance and taking your chance. Yeah. So when you see Smith Rowe and you compare him to someone like a Willock, I don't believe in my heart of hearts that either one was comparable even way back when, but he's done so much, Smith Rowe, in such a short period of time in terms of game time in comparison to someone like a Willock in a similar position. And I just think, maybe the writing's on the wall for someone like me. But ultimately...
Before I forget as well, got to give another shout out to Mari. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, the reason I didn't mention him, I think we had a question on him. But as you are mentioning him, I don't know. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I saw it for a previous podcast, but I'm thinking it. I can't remember all the questions we got. But just touching on Mari then, as you do, because I like you. I mean, you said it after the Chelsea game, in fairness, and I was a bit tentative because of his challenge late on, and I said, I don't know, let's see with him with further tests. And I think in my heart of hearts, I'm still not, I wouldn't say the jury's out because I think he's looked really good over the last 4 games. I'm still want to see more of him against different profiles. I think Thursday will be a big test. I do expect him to start.
If he's going to start or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been the argument, James. I mean, a couple of people have said, well, if Mari's playing so well, start Mari with Gabriel, and I don't think that's possible because we don't really see 2 left-footed centre-backs start together. So I don't think that would happen anyway. No. I think Mari and Gabriel and Luis and Holding are pretty much what we're looking at for the season in terms of options. And obviously Holding just signed his new contract, which I think we're all a big. I know there's some controversy over it, but I think we were all big time for
business for me.
Yeah, 25 years old, 25 grand a week. Maybe it's gone up to, even if it's gone up to 50 grand a week, I don't think that's a bad way to use your money. Even if he's going to be one of the four, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the starter for the next 3 or 4 years, right?
Exactly.
If he's one of the four, I mean, you look at one of the four in some of the top clubs that are close to the top of the league, I think they take Rob Holding as one of the four. Do you know what I mean? So you look at
that they have.
you look at Liverpool with Van Dijk out playing young kids there and struggling big time. I tell you now, they take a Rob Holding all day long. So I think I can't see the argument against that signing. But just touching back on, I think he's really solid. The only question mark I have over him, I think he's really good on the ball. His stature's great. He's good in the air. He distributes the ball well. The only question I have is agility and pace. I think those are the questions that I have, and I hope he's one of these players that can read the game so well that you always have a reader and a faster player. So the argument there is Holding and Mari maybe have too many similarities.
I just find him very cool.
You expect him to start on Thursday, though?
It's weird because I would keep him in because him and Holding have done the partnership, and like I said, Brighton clean sheet, West Brom clean sheet, so it's harsh. But then, like you said, went into the extra time, and I'm like, Gabriel's there, ready, and I'm like, maybe you go. You had 120 odd minutes the other night, so you got to take a.
Was Gabriel in the squad? I don't think he was.
I think Gabriel was on the bench, wasn't he?
Was he? I didn't think him or Partey was in the squad, but maybe Gabriel was on the bench.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. No. Chambers was. So, but Chambers I know probably, so it would not surprise me if Gabriel come back for Palace on Thursday.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of them where I'm like, they have got more pace. The likes
Zaha, easy.
Yeah. Ayew can get on his bike if he needs to. I don't want to say I'm not worried about Benteke because he'll end up scoring and making me look silly.
But they're also a very sort of counter-attacking away team. They've had some big wins away from home against big sides, haven't they? Man U, Man City.
Yeah.
So they're dangerous. They are a dangerous side to play against, and I personally think that will be a bit, because if you think about it, against Chelsea, they played Abraham up front. There wasn't a lot of pace coming down his side really, though he did very well. Brighton didn't really play with a striker, So and obviously big target men with Newcastle. So
West Brom don't have one, do they?
No, exactly. So but you can only judge a player on what he's played against.
No, I think he's been brilliant.
I'll say this much. He's definitely for me, part of that group of four going into next season. I think. I mean, we're looking at it. Luis is going. Socrates is likely going this window. Mustafi's done by the summer. So you've got three centre backs out.
What I would say is he got a lot of unnecessary flack because he was an Edu one.
Alongside Cedric.
And everyone, tarnished him and were like, oh, look, you bought this geezer for £5 million and he's injured and he's rubbish and before we even really saw him play. I thought against Portsmouth I'm like, you don't look too bad.
Yeah.
There was some glimpses in it when he was playing out and I was like, you ain't bad, that maybe I need to see a bit more of you. And he's been sensational. I think he's done really, really well. He got a lot of unnecessary flack, but like
this is what you want, mate.
It's just
I mean, you've got a player of the season so far at the point of him getting coronavirus, Gabriel, and suddenly the player that's come in for him might be keeping him out of a spot, and it's a bit like the Leno Martinez thing last season. But ultimately, it's great for the competition that we want there.
That's what you want.
Yeah, you want that, and questioning our pairing on Thursday is not something I thought would happen when Gabriel was eventually fit again. So I think full credit to Mari there. And it's early days with him. It's early days with Gabriel as well. But, I think Mari, there's an argument about 5 million. Some people saying 12 million, even if it's 12 million. I think him and the Gabriel signing for 20 plus million, those are the kind of signings you want to be making. Yeah. These are the kind of signings we want. These aren't stupid
the
deals.
Centre backs we had.
Yeah, absolutely. The massive upgrade so far. It's looking like
Saliba in the 2 games that he's played's meant to have done really well. So
got man of the match in the last one. Yeah. The hope there with the Saliba one, just getting the fans' question is there hasn't been a breakdown of relationship between the club and the player, because we haven't handled it well. And my hope there is there hasn't been. Obviously, he's on a long-term contract.
Right,
so yeah, hopefully, because what you want is him alongside Holding on as part of the right side. And I think then we're looking for the first time in any transfer window, it feels like in my lifetime, we might not be looking for a centre-back, which is fantastic. Yeah, we don't need to buy one. We'll probably need a 5th one, which could be Chambers or, one other. But and we don't need to buy one. We can look elsewhere for once, rather than going, we really need this centre-back before we can talk in this transfer window. Yeah. And that would be really nice. But I don't want to count too early about it, but it looks quite encouraging, doesn't it, at the back?
Solid.
Does Laka, based on current form, warrant a contract extension? Jackie AFC, we touched on this. I mean, if he continues his current form, would you give him the extension? He's 29. I think he's going to be 30 end of the year.
It's so tough, isn't it?
He's got one more year left after this summer, is that right? Yes.
You know what? I would probably say yes, because I think we need to buy more than, if we were to buy next summer, we would probably spend the majority of our money on a new centre forward, and I think we got more problems than I'm like, if we're buying big next summer, like we should do, because we've always alluded to it, these next 2 windows, especially this summer one, are massive. I still think we need the bloke to go next to Thomas Partey. More. So I would.
Basuma.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather go and buy him for 30 to 40 million, which probably they're going to command, even if they get relegated, he'll probably be cheaper. But I personally think Brighton might stay up, so they're going to want 30 to 40 million for him. And I know people go, 30, 40 million, that ain't a lot of money for Arsenal. Well, considering we've had to just take a loan out to pay staff and everything else, it is. So,
that's why I just think
sacked them all, so I don't even know why.
Yeah, that's why I just think getting some sale money in, when I talk about the youngsters, wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
So, no, I would probably, on current form, I would sign Lacazette, because I don't want us to be scrambling around trying to find a centre forward.
Yeah, and then the argument there is if you lose Balogun, which looks likely, you lose Eddie Nketiah, which also probably is likely by the summer if he's not signing a contract, because a player with a year left, you're not going to let that run down a young age. So you're going to lose him too. Who is your alternative? But I think the alternative would be Martinelli then, and I think he's a different type of alternative. That's my only issue. He's not really a Lacazette-style player. So the only argument there is, do you need one anyway that's a similar style? But again, a lot can change in 6 months. You don't know who's going to come through when Balogun's out. We're already looking at 18-year-olds abroad that are running out of contract. One in, I think it's in Turkey or Ukraine that's looking. So we things can change a lot in that.
Wallace got good numbers, mate. In the
Wallace got good numbers. He's much more of a target man. Yeah. Next, Zlatan. They say, is he Swedish?
Yeah,
he is Swedish. That's what I've read. Arthur 11_Kagagello top man says, does Gabriel walk back into the starting lineup? I think we both agree that probably we should stick with Mari for the next game, don't we? Even if I have this reluctance about him, I think it's hard to change a winning side. No. And when you know that, I think his win percentage when starting and playing full 90 minutes is quite ludicrous, and Arteta made it clear that he was quite aware of that in the post-match press conference. So I think it's quite hard to drop him at this point. And I don't know if you can.
Tough because, like you said, he played the full game, didn't he?
And we also don't know the reason, don't want to speculate, we don't really know the reason why Gabriel was exposed. Obviously, it can just happen. But it was around the time of birthday parties and a lot of stuff being posted on Instagram. So just, if, like I said, I moan about players like Kyle Walker and Jack Grealish. So if our players have been silly like that too, they certainly shouldn't just walk back into the team. So
that's one thing at the moment, touch wood, none of them have, but let's not be so confident, because a lot of them are slipping through the net now. A lot of them expose themselves.
So. Yeah. And then the kind of last chance saloon, the league said, haven't they, for the players? I don't think it's going to make a difference to the idiotic players like Mendy and Kyle Walker. No. Pep comes out saying he hasn't got any players, and I'm like, well, maybe tell your players to stay at home, mate, and stop going out having parties.
Mendy doesn't make sense to me because I always thought that he had a wife. And I'm like,
I always thought it was a football player, but he's never playing.
Well, I'm like, is your wife okay with it, or does she not know? Because I'm like, it's pretty much everywhere. So if she didn't know before, she definitely does now.
Yeah. He's a straight.
You must have some good,
I'm amazed they put up with him so long, really. Yeah, amazed they put up with him so long.
I'm like, she's a very, 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 very nice wife, considering your DMs are leaking constantly about what you want and what you're getting.
Yeah, oh dear.
She's very accepting of his lifestyle choices.
I wonder why. There you go. But it's unfortunate, isn't it? But Bernadette 68 at Brass 68. Thank you, Bernadette. It says only question I have is short and simple. Willian, and we've discussed a little bit Willian, and we feel. We have to make it work, but the answer there is he certainly shouldn't be starting at the moment, not on the right, no way.
The thing I will say to Bernadette to hopefully put a smile on her face is no matter how bad Willian is at the moment, it isn't as bad as Celtic are.
I know they are bad.
That's from someone who's also a Celtic fan. I mean, the surname gives it away. But
yes, Bernadette's seeing the Celtic Dubai thing, and it's reminding her of Willian. There you go. So there you go. There's a link there. But yeah, I see what you mean. It's frustrating, Bernadette, especially. It's early days for him. I'll give him that. But it's certainly not. He's not endearing himself to the Arsenal fans with his effort or with his application at this point. So something has to change. But really, what has to change is he's got to be out of the lineup.
Drastically shocked if he turns it around, Jack, because I have seen nothing that indicates that he will. No,
well, ultimately he shouldn't be one of those players that's allowed to start in Premier League games at this point in time. For me, the way I look at it is we've got a front four that's showing it at the moment, and if Martinelli can get back fit soon, and fingers crossed for the MRI, he should be the one to come in and rotate, whether it's Aubameyang or centrally. And after that, I'd still put Pepe ahead of Willian. He's still showing me more than Willian. I don't think either of them should start, but I would still put Pepe ahead. For me, he shows more. He more touches on a ball, more creative. I think he's been better overall this season, albeit maybe in the Europa League, but even in the Premier League, Sheffield United game at home, he was very good. Pepe, I think he showed a lot more than Willian this season. So for me, I think Willian should be way down the pecking order alongside Nelson at this point. But that's me, and Mikel Arteta's not really shown that that's his view. He's really tried to give him every chance he can, but I think he's got to be running out of those really at the moment. He's got to bide his time and take some time out of the game.
Yeah.
Joshua Fahey, Josh J. Fahey says that how things changed 6 months ago. Our defence looked, swear words, very bad. He's just commenting. He said, I'm a fan of not taking someone out if they're working. Mari and Holding are working, and I agree. Josh, we mentioned that about that partnership and not changing it just yet. Scott Borg, good guy Scott, at SM_Borg says, does the form of Laka put him into the starting lineup ahead of or alongside Aubameyang in the next match? We both think alongside, because especially because the Martinelli injury doesn't really. Saka, Laka, Orba, exactly. And thank you, Scott. I think you're a new listener. You've not listened yet. So, yes, we agree. I think Aubameyang just scored, so you got to put him in again, but put him in at the left. Lacazette is a must start centrally. Sam _I am _21. I think it's a new account for Sam. I know I work with Sam. She's very nice. Stick with Willock or loan him. Seems he hasn't matched the progression of other youngsters, and I think we all agree that he probably needs at very least a loan. And we even agreed that if a bid came in, wouldn't turn it down either. No, and I agree with that. I'm not sure. I mean, what would you say? I'd accept sort of 12 to 15 mil. Were you going higher than that?
I don't think he can command higher than that.
No, I don't either. I don't either. I mean, I'd wonder if it would be a higher level championship team, to be honest. I don't know if I'm being too harsh, but I wonder. I think he's been given a lot of time, Sam. I think he's been given a lot. I know he's been some movements on the bench, but any other youngster that's had 60 plus appearances, you start going into the Iwobi bracket, and Iwobi, for all his poor attributes at times. He showed a lot more than Willock to me in that time frame. Do you know what I mean? And now he's playing at Everton, doing okay, and all that kind of stuff. Tariq Smith
loved him, didn't he? Loved him.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, him and Mkhitaryan.
Yeah.
Well, it was weird because they're almost Iwobi a better quality, but we do lack that kind of assurance on the ball. And Iwobi always was quite good from that left side on the ball.
He would drive.
Yeah,
he might not have been very good at it, but
his final ball was terrible, wasn't it?
He went for it. He had
everything up until the box. He was very good at it.
Yeah.
Tariq Smith Tweed says, who does Gabriel replace when he's fit, Mari or Holding? I heard another podcast and I agreed completely with them. Say that the reason two left centre backs don't play together that often is because generally, and this is exactly what I believe, left-footed centre backs tend to be more 1 foot dominant than right-footed ones, and I tend to agree with that. Right, left-footed players in general tend to be more 1 foot, not always. Right, you got your Sakas that can use both a little bit, but you tend to have your Pepes as well. I don't know, they're not centre backs, but we had left-footed centre backs. For Marden, never had a left-footed centre backs playing alongside him. No, I don't really see Gabriel Mari ever being a partnership as such, even though they might be our best two profile wise, but because they're two left footers, I think they're really just it's one or the other, to be honest. Unless we're in an injury,
unless someone gets badly done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Luis has still got. I thought he was pretty good in this game. I think he's still got a part to play. Holding's played a lot of games.
People were talking about City had Ake and Laporte at the start of the season. I went and then they ended up buying Diaz.
Yeah, exactly. So and Ake.
Well, I'm like, Ake's left-footed, so...
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, and Laporte...
so he's the replacement for Laporte if he's injured, I presume.
Yeah, but they were constantly Laporte, Ake and Laporte, that's what everyone keeps commenting. And I'm like...
Doesn't happen.
It was a few games, and City had a really bad start, and then they ended up buying Diaz. And also, I'm like, you've seen a resurgence in John Stones. I mean, John Stones was bloody a Rizzler paper away from being an Arsenal player, and now all of a sudden he's...
Well, he's a bit like Rob Holding, isn't he, in a way? I mean, very close to out the door.
Brilliant. He's done absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, absolutely, and fair play to Holding as well. I like Holding's character to come back from something like that, and Arteta's he grew on Arteta. You can see that. So thanks Tariq for that one. Last one was on Willian again from Nick, who asked a lot of questions. Top man Nick P81 says, why is Willian so poor? And he says he looks lethargic. His attitude. I agree with that. That's my biggest frustration, Nick, is that not necessarily he's not doing it, because sometimes that happens and players go through peaks and troughs, but is his application. Like, he just looks like he's so heavy-legged all the time. From minute one, and when he loses the ball, like a 5-yard pass that he lost cross field.
It's that chance, Jack. I'm like, he even had 2 to 3 touches to set the ball, and then that's still your finish at the end.
Yeah, and that's where you regard him as being good, quite efficient.
I'm like, if you'd have hit the post, the bar, or made the keeper save it, you'd go, okay. But I'm like, to completely sky it like that, when you had no pressure and you took 2, I think he took 1 to get in the position, and then 2 to set it and then shoot. So I'm like, you've had 4 touches and you've produced that. I'm like, nah, rubbish. Sorry, rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
No other words for it.
No, I agree. And the frustrating thing there is we're stuck with him in the sense, and he's halting other players his minutes because he's got to be used. But
one goes out, and then you bring another one in. We're going to have another free.
I know we're going to be Mkhitaryan and Ozil all over again. Should we just do, before we go, and give you predictions for Palace? I want to do another one after Palace, ideally. I'm going to pop over to they've got the mountains with the snow, so I'm going to take my kid to the snow at the weekend. But I don't think we play again till Monday, do we? So we play Thursday, Monday. So I think that's the schedule.
Right, yeah.
Just a quick question on the transfer window. In the last podcast we said goalkeeper and attacking midfielder is what we hope for. Looks like since we spoke last, James, that Socrates is edging closer to the door, possibly, even though I'm not willing to believe it until I see it. Ozil edging closer to the door. In terms of outgoings, even if we stop at that, that's been a fantastic January, I think. You've already got Kalashnik off the books. Didn't expect those 3 to be going. Really, maybe not even 1 or 2 of them. What do you expect now if the rumours are to be believed and Socrates and Ozil do see their way out this window, which, you know, there are quite strong rumours now about that, what do you expect now? More outgoings and any more incomings than what you suggested?
I think if them two go, it will probably be one of the three youngsters we've spoken about, and then that will be it for outgoings. I think Mustafi is going to be the one that clings on till the end and keeps his money. And yeah. I can't. You know, the fact that there's not even rumours about him anymore from anywhere. Yeah, so I'm like, I think we're roped with him till the end. Which, you know, you knew one of them would probably be there till the end. He wasn't the one that I thought it would be, but, you know, it is what it is. And so I think if you get rid of them two, you know, Socrates and Ozil, and then it's one of the three, well, actually, no, I'd class it as four, so it's either going to be a Balogun and Ketia, Willock, or Nelson that go.
Yeah, and Balogun's probably going to wait till the summer. Eddie, he said no, but I'd take that with a pinch of salt, maybe. And then Nelson or Willock, yeah, I could see easily one or two of those going on loan. Backup goalkeeper looks like the biggest priority. Yeah. Arteta alluded to the Ranison thing kind of being a mishap almost. A very odd decision after he spoke.
He was a panic buyer. It's like you said, well, hang on a sec, you had ages.
Yeah, we did, because I think he's forgetting.
Martinez before the Fulham game. Was it sold before the Fulham game?
It was sold before the Fulham game, which was early August or mid-August, and the window didn't close till September the 14th-ish. So we had a month. We had a month to get a backup goalkeeper. You could have a Macy in the backup for 2 or 3 games, and you could pick out your backup. So in truth, and someone mentioned as well in another podcast that we kind of relied on our goalkeeping coach to say, who have you worked with, and that's how we got Ranison, and sort of saying, don't do that again. I would just give it, just from experience and listening to the goalkeeper coaches and seeing what they've done, fair play to them though, because in terms of, no one really spoke about the improvement of Emile Martinez, right? Everyone just said, this is a diamond in the rough, and we've just suddenly found him. And, you know, how did we not know this before? Well, this guy played under Wenger, and Wenger never saw it. So, in fairness, this goalkeeping coach, in my opinion, improved him, because we watched him against Reading in the Cup under Wenger, and he did not look that good. He went on loan to multiple teams and did not play very much. So something changed under him. And actually, I'm seeing some improvements under Leno as well. I think he's catching the ball more. I think he's being a bit cleverer with the way he distributes the ball. He doesn't always play short. He goes long a little bit more. So I think I've got to give a little bit of credit to the goalkeeping coaches for that. However, it is a bit odd that basically Arteta said he bought a third goalkeeper, and you don't buy a third goalkeeper, you bring up a third goalkeeper, you buy a second goalkeeper. So it's a very odd decision. I wonder what was asked of the goalkeeping coach, like, hey, we need the cheapest you can find, who you got. It
made me laugh. They said that there were clubs in contact to loan him in from Championship and from Europe, and I'm like, who watches him and wants to loan him in? Because I'm like, do it then.
Yeah, no one.
I can't believe who it would be.
I mean, the question now, though, is, James, it does look like we're going to get a sort of maybe it's a stopgap type of goalkeeper. Well, I mean, what do we want? We want someone with experience, obviously, don't we?
Yeah. I saw yesterday. I don't know how much is in it. Fraser Forster, 100% every day of the week. What is he?
Why would they let him go? He's Southampton, is he?
Yeah.
Why would they let him go? Like, do they have a third goalkeeper sitting around or something?
I think so. And then I think he's only got 6 months left. So I don't know if it's another tricky one that they might look at. And then he's literally only playing at the moment because McCarthy, who's their first choice, he's got coronavirus, hasn't he? So I think that's the only reason. But then I look at it and I'm like, it probably won't be Forster, because he might look at the second choice keeper. For me, it's how many games is he going to get? Because obviously Leno now's played the FA Cup, and he probably won't go, I want to sit on the bench again. He's not going to play against Benfica, is he? So
No. Yeah, so when's he going to play? He's there for an emergency, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
He's there. You'd expect Leno to play most of the games.
Probably will be that Romero from Man United, maybe.
Just a massive wage, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I wonder if Man United, thinking maybe if we are competing with them on some level, are they willing to share a goalkeeper with us? But
I don't know.
just don't go and get Kepa from Chelsea, basically.
Yes, please, yeah.
Yeah. Don't get. I'd probably stick with Runnison rather than him. But
so would I. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think a goalkeeper. And if you had to put your neck on the line, attacking midfielders coming in. I mean, we've still got a couple of weeks, so we're going to ask you again. But
yeah, so I had a look. Buendia's contract's up in 2024, so but they've said his market value's 14.4.
So they can't go up to 40, can they? Well, I guess they can do what they like.
They can if they want to. Yeah. But I don't know. I think if you put 20 plus, or maybe 20 plus, and then a player on loan,
Willock or Nelson with it.
They'd take it.
Yeah. You got to vote for that, really.
Why they are in the Championship?
Well, what we got to ask?
They're a selling club, you know. They got rid of Maddison. They got rid of who was the other one that they had before? They had someone else, didn't they? Norwich, that was before Maddison. I'm trying to remember who it was.
You know what? No, I think. Sorry, I don't know who it is either. That's why I moved off it. But you know what? I wonder what the expectation was and what the goals were at the start of the season from Edu and Arteta and the board. And I expect at the very least the goal was to be in Europe of some level, right? Again. So, and obviously, even with our slight resurgence recently, we've definitely put it as a possibility, but we're playing catch up. Let's face it. So really, I think we go and get a number 10 if we are really serious about that. So, and if we're not, and we're looking at it going, if we get it, great. If we don't, financially, we'll take the hit because we're getting a lot of money coming back into the club from wages and things like that. Then maybe we don't. But obviously, with the fans not being there at least for the end of till the end of the season, most likely that's always hit us as well. Hit us more than anyone, right, in terms of match day revenue. So I just wonder. But I think if that is still the goal, meaning we need at the very least Europa, because that's 35-40 million, we must be saying we need to go and get this number 10 now, because there is no other option other than Smith Rowe. And the proof is, before Smith Rowe, what were we doing? We were creating 17th in the league in terms of chances. So what's your prediction for Palace, mate? We've got Palace on Thursday, big game. We need to win it. I think I might even, I don't want to say I will, but you know, if we win that, you can maybe look at the table, you know.
I am going to go 2-1 Arsenal, and I'm going to say Lacazette, because it just seems like the safest option at the moment.
Well, I hope so, because keep your striker scoring. That's huge.
I think it's going to be tight, though.
It's going to be really hard. I think it's going to be really hard.
Palace always a bit of a tough team with us lately.
Yeah, and they've got that, you know, that fast breaking movement, which we struggle with. I think Thomas Partey comes straight back in if he is fit.
I'd love to, I know. Yeah, sorry, I forgot all about him.
Yeah, I thought it was a little weird that he wasn't, because he was declared fit for this game. I thought it was a little weird that he wasn't on the bench. I thought maybe we would give him 30 or something, which makes me think maybe we're not going to start him in midweek. But I do think if he is declared fully fit and ready, I think he almost has to come back in. And this is the type of game we has to come back in, because transitionally, I worry about our midfield, no matter who we play in there.
I'd love to see him. Yeah, to see him.
Yeah, so that's one change for sure I would make. Yeah. The rest obviously keep the same as the last one again. Yeah, I think that would have to be the two at this point.
I think they might be quite tasty together.
Yeah, and Xhaka's earned it, hasn't he? In his last 4 games, he's been one of the senior players that's really stood up and been counted, really. But I'll go. I do think it's going to be a tough one. All right, I'll go 3-1. I'll go Lacazette as well. Go Lacazette as well. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope so. I hope we're sitting here going, well, Lacazette's scoring in that one for sure. So who's next? So that would be lovely, because we want that. You know, whether it's Aubameyang or Lacazette, you want your strikers scoring, don't you? So that's really important. 100%. But James, terrific podcast. Wi-Fi didn't cut out for an hour, which was fantastic. Thank you for sticking with us. Listen to us on Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter. Listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the rubbish apps as well. And we will be back after the Palace game on Thursday to hopefully discuss 5th win on the bounce, that would be. I'll keep the fingers crossed there. But up the Arsenal, keep the faith, and we will be back in a few days. Appreciate it. Coming up, boys.